I wanted to create this basically walkthrough video to show you how to install VMware and ESXi on VMware Workstation. First, you got to go to Broadcom's support portal, support.broadcom.com. I'll throw this link in the description. You got to register if you don't have an account yet. I already have an account. After you've logged into Broadcom support portal, to download VMware, you can search VMware Workstation and then click download VMware Workstation Pro. Scroll down. We want to download the free version, so it's this link. And you can download 25H2 or 17. I'm on Windows 11, so I downloaded 25H2. There's the download button. Screening required. Prior to downloading, okay, you need additional verification. I don't know what that means. Let's see. So I input my information, click submit, HTTPS download. So you click that link and we've started our download. After I downloaded, I ran executable and just used the default settings for everything. Next, you need to download nested ESXi. So go to My Downloads. Select free software downloads available here. Then it's under Flings. Scroll down. Nested ESXi Virtual Appliance. Click that. We'll download the most recent 8.0C. Click download. Okay, after you've downloaded and installed VMware Workstation, you can go ahead and open it up. Then, after you've also downloaded the nested ESXi appliance, it's zipped. So you have to go to your downloads folder, right click, extract all. You can just extract it to the default, which is the downloads folder. After it's extracted, you can close both these windows, then go to VMware Workstation, File, Open, select the OVA, click Open. So you got to accept the end user license agreement, blah, blah, blah. Next. Give it a name. I don't have any other VMs, so this is a good name. You can change the folder if you want. I just keep those at default. Networking and configurations, those can remain at defaults. Then click import. We'll change the network settings in a bit. After it's done importing, it will boot up the VM. If you run into an issue here, it's possible that you have Hyper-V enabled. VMware doesn't work if Hyper-V is enabled. So you can go to your search menu, type Windows features, turn Windows features on or off. Go down here to Hyper-V, make sure it's not checked. And mine's already not checked. Click OK. You're going to have to reboot your PC if Hyper-V was enabled, though. In VMware Workstation, we can right-click our ESXi VM. We can go down to Settings, and we can see Network Adapter is bridged. That means it will pull an IP address from my home router, just like any other PC or phone would. So we can see here it got an IP address from in the 10.0.0.0/24 subnet. That's my home router. We're going to want to change that because it's a DHCP address and we don't want it changing. So down here it says F2 to customize or view system and view logs. If this is your first time using VMware Workstation, know that when you click anywhere on the VM, it will make your mouse cursor disappear. If you look in the lower left corner, it says to return to your computer, press Control and Alt. So that will make your mouse pointer reappear. I'm going to click into it again. I'm going to press Enter to make it brighten again. And then I'm going to press F2 to go into the settings. The login name default is root. The password is capital V, capital M, then lowercase WARE 1 exclamation point. We're going to go down to configure management network, press enter, then use the arrows, go to IPv4 configuration, press enter. Here you actually have to use the spacebar to select a setting. So we want to use this bottom one, set static IPv4 address and network configuration. Then you press spacebar, then press down to go to the IPv4 address. I'm going to change it to 10.0.0.115. Subnet is /24. That's good. The default gateway looks good. I'll press enter for OK. Then I need to press escape. It will ask me if it's okay to restart the management network. Press yes for OK, or you can press escape. You can see, get my pointer back, here's the new static address. Now, what we can do is we can open a web browser, navigate to that IP address. It will also warn you and say that the site is not secure. You can ignore that and proceed anyway. The username is root, again, VMware1 exclamation point, log in. This is a box to help them improve VMware. I recommend unchecking this because it's telemetry, right? No one likes telemetry. So you may notice when you get into ESXi GUI that the storage is a little bit low. It's actually only allocated 10 gig. So what we can do is we can shut down the ESXi host and then open VMware Workstation. We can see if we select our VM in the left pane, you can see its stats, all of its specs. It says our biggest hard disk here is 16 gig. That's not very big. So let's right click it and create a new hard disk. Click add hard disk. Use the default of SCSI, the recommended. Create a new virtual disk. We can set this to, it says the recommended size is 40, but let's change it to 50. And store in a single file or split it into multiple files. That doesn't matter, just leave it at default. I usually just leave this at the default, click finish, click OK. So now we've got a much larger disk that it can use, 50 gig. Let's power it back on. After it's back up and log back in, let's see if it's got some more storage. So here it's still saying just 9.75. So it's still at 10 gig over here. We can check the storage here And we will create a new data store because it's still using the old one. Create a new VMFS data store. Click Next. We'll call it my VM storage or whatever you want. Here's the disk we'll use, the 50 gig that we just allocated. Click Next. Use full disk is good. Click Next. Finish. The entire contents are about to be erased and replaced. That's okay because it's a new disk without any data on it. VMFS data store is successfully created. You can see the task down here. Now that we've got the ESXi host set up, we can create a VM on the EXI host. So you can click create / register VM if you've already got an OVA file. If you need an OVA file, a good place to go is f5.com. This will allow you to you need to create a login, but then you can go to resources downloads and you can download a virtual load balancer. Please note, you can download an F5 Big IP Virtual Edition VM, but you cannot use its load balancing features unless you get a free trial, which requires a professional business email address. I've included a link in the description to a video guide I made for creating a professional business email address cheaply and quickly. I'll also include some links for other sites where you can get OVAs or VM images. Click, the group is Big IP. The product line is, we can do 17, that's pretty recent. And the product version, I like to go with a little bit older version so I can practice upgrading. Then the product container is going to be Virtual Edition, VE. It'll automatically scroll down and it has you select a download file. This is the one we want, Big IP 17.1.2.2 all VMware.ova. It'll scroll down again. Choose your download location, click download. Now that we've got our ESXi running on our VMware workstation, we've upgraded our storage. We've allocated 50 gig and created a new data store. Next, we need to add our networking. So click on the networking in the left pane, then click on the virtual switches tab at the top menu. Click add standard virtual switch. We'll call it switch 1. You can remove the uplink. Click add standard virtual switch, call it switch 2. Remove the uplink, click add. Then at the top menu, click on port groups. We need to add these switches to our internal and external port groups. So internal will belong to switch 1. Click add. External will belong to switch 2. Click add. And now we have our basic network setup for our lab with internal and external. After we've set up our networking for our lab, we can go to virtual machines in the left pane, click create / register VM, click deploy a virtual machine from an OVF or OVA, click next. Enter name, we'll call it my big IP. You can select your OVA file, click and drag and drop it into the drop area, click next. Assign the storage, which is the storage we allocated earlier, click next. Read through the end user license agreement, click I agree, click next. So the management will be using the VM network. The internal will map to internal, external maps to external, and then HA will be using the VM network as well. Keep the CPUs and RAM at default. Thin provisioning is preferred. Click Next. Click Finish. Now it will deploy the VM. You can see the task down here in the lower pane. Okay, next we can see that the big IP was successfully imported, but then it says failed to power on virtual machine because the amount of CPU resource available in the parent resource pool is insufficient. Click here for more details. We check the details, invalid reservation 4000 megahertz. We can check our settings in the VM. So right click your VM, go down to edit settings, expand the CPU menu. Here's our reservation. It's 4000 megahertz. If I right click my taskbar and select Task Manager, open the Performance menu and click on CPU, we can see the base speed of my CPU is 3.60 gigahertz. That's equal to 3600 megahertz. So the reservation is too high for my CPU. So an easy way to fix this is to set it to none. Let's click Save. Let's remove these notifications. Let's try starting up the VM again. And we get another error. It says the available memory resources in the parent resource pool are insufficient for the operation. Click here for details. We look down here, it says admission check failed for memory resource. I looked up the resources required for ESXi, which is running on our VMware workstation. ESXi 8.0 requires 8 gig of physical RAM. That's what was the default, but it recommends providing at least 12 gig of RAM to run virtual machines. So we can see because it's only got 8 gig of RAM, it's really not ideal for running any VMs. So after we get this error with the admission check failed for memory resource, we can right-click the VM, go to Edit Settings, and we can check its memory. We can see it's trying to reserve 4096 MB, which is 4 gig. This is more than it can handle, so it's not working. So we can set this to none so it won't reserve anything. We can dismiss these notifications and we can try starting it up again. And it's working. However, this is not my recommended fix because all we did was remove the reservations. That means it won't necessarily have enough resources to perform well. My preferred fix is to actually allocate more resources to the ESXi host. So to do that, we will shut down our VM. Wait until it shows powered off. Okay, completed successfully. Open VMware Workstation. We'll shut down guest. This is our ESXi host. Next, we will edit virtual machine settings. We will allocate more RAM. 16 gig is good. 16,384 MB. And we'll give it some more processors. Okay. Power on this virtual machine. After the ESXi host powers back on, we can see our VM. Let's right click it and click Edit Settings. I've changed the CPU back to a reservation of 4000 megahertz. And I also changed the memory back to a reservation of 4096 MB. I did this so we can see that it will actually work now, even though we didn't change those reservation values, but because we increased the CPU and RAM allocated in VMware Workstation to 16 gig for memory and 4 processors, the VM will now successfully start because we've given it more resources. So let's try powering it on. So it's working. You can click on this to open the console. It'll take a minute to open up. On big IPs, the default credentials are root. Gotta click on it again. Root. The password is default. It will ask you what is your current password. You type default again. Then it will ask for a new password. And we're at the command line. We can try config to set up our basic network settings. But this gives an error. So what this means, we can type in this command, tmsh show sys mcp state. Base config load failed. So I did some troubleshooting and I found out that basically the big IP its disk is too small. So you can close this. Then look at the hardware configuration here, or you can right click it and go to edit settings. Expand the hard disk 1 section. You can see the maximum size is 47.09 gig, but hard disk 1 is using 82 gig. So we need to increase the disk on our ESXi host. So let's shut down the VM. Let's open the VMware workstation. We need to shut this down too. Now let's give it some more storage. Click Edit Virtual Machine Settings. Hard disk 4 was the disk we provisioned earlier. We can remove it. Let's create a new one with more space. SCSI, new virtual disk. Let's use 100 just to make sure we don't run out. Split the virtual disk into multiple files. Click Next. Finish. Okay. Now we got a much larger disk to work with. Let's power on the virtual machine, the ESXi host. You'll notice after you get to the management console of your ESXi host that the storage data store was removed. That's because we deleted it and created a new one. So we need to recreate this. Click New Data Store, create new VMFS data store, click Next. We'll call it My Data Store. We will use the 100 gig disk we just created. Click Next, Finish. It will be erased. Click Yes, that's okay, there's nothing on it. The data store was successfully created. Great. Now, if we go back to our VM, it says status invalid. It's because it was created on that data store that we deleted. So let's right-click it, unregister. Are you sure you want to unregister the VM? Click yes. It's been unregistered and it was already deleted, so that's why it was giving that error. Let's click create/register a VM. Deploy a virtual machine from an OVF or an OVA file. Click next. We'll call it my big IP again. Drag and drop the OVA to the drag area. Click next. Use this disk. Click next. Accept the EULA. I agree. Next. Management will be the VM network. Internal is internal. External is external. And HA, or high availability, is the VM network. Leave the rest at default. Click next. Click finish. And it is deploying the big IP. Okay, after your big IP has booted back up, you can log in. You'll need to use the default credentials because it's a new VM. Root and password is default. Okay, then you need to type config to set up some basic network settings. All right, this time it's working. It says you must add a IP address and netmask for the management port before you can start using the web-based setup utility. That's exactly why we're here. Select IPv4. Use automatic configuration of IP address. No, let's use a static IP address. 10.0.0.116. That's just the next one that I decided to use. Let's click OK. Netmask is /24. Okay. Do you want to create a default route for the management port? The current route is, that's my router. So we'll say yes, so it can reach the internet. The management route is default route is 10.0.0.1. That's its next hop. Yep, good. System management connectivity may be lost if the management address changes. Accept these settings. Yes, of course. It is changing those settings, and then the config prompt pops up again after a few seconds. Now let's try navigating to that IP address. One thing I notice here is that it's using HTTP, so maybe that's incorrect. Let's try HTTPS, and that was the issue. Warning, potential security risk ahead. It uses an invalid security certificate, of course, because it's self-signed. Accept the risk and continue. And we are at our big IP web GUI. The username default is admin, and the password is whatever you set it to in the CLI earlier. Oddly enough, it will ask you to change it again. You don't actually need to change it. You can just use the same one you already set up in the CLI. Click Save. It will say password changed successfully, which I didn't actually change it. I used the same password I used in the CLI earlier. I mistyped that. And we are logged into the big IP GUI.